Hey everyone, welcome to Croc Chat. I'm Mark Perpetua, and yes, I know this isn't a crocodilian. But as much as we talk about the amazing adaptations of crocodilians, it's also interesting to consider that they're not the only air-breathing vertebrates that have to deal with life underwater. So today I thought it'd be fun to compare and contrast how the alligators differ from turtles like this alligator snapping turtle. Alligator snapping turtles are the heaviest freshwater turtles in the world, and they can get massive, often reaching over 200 pounds in weight. They live in the bayous and the swamps of the southern U.S., and they get their name because of the ridges along the back of their shell, which many people feel resemble the ridges from the scutes and osteoderms on the back of the American alligator. Just like crocodilians, aquatic turtles have to deal with not only holding their breath for long periods of time, but also preventing water intrusion. Diving, moving around, and feeding underwater, they have to make sure that water doesn't accidentally enter their airways. And both of these reptiles have evolved uniquely different ways of dealing with this issue. When this alligator opens its mouth, you'll be able to see what is called the palatal valve. The palatal valve is at the back of the tongue, and it closes up against the palate, making sure water cannot enter its throat, even when an alligator is opening its mouth in the water to capture its prey. So the importance of the palatal valve becomes really clear when we take a look at this alligator skull. Crocodilians are the only reptiles that have an actual palate, or what we refer to as the roof of our mouth. And that separates the nasal passages when you breathe through your nostrils from the mouth cavity. And then air moves through the nasal passage and comes into the throat area through these little internal nostrils or internal nares. When the alligator is underwater, that palatal valve hides those internal nostrils, keeping water out of the throat and therefore making sure they don't accidentally get into their lungs. Of course, if the alligator is at the surface, by keeping the palatal valve closed, it can still breathe through its nostrils as long as they are above the water. If you look closely in this next clip, you can actually see the palatal valve open just a little bit. While the palatal valve makes sure that water can't accidentally enter through the mouth, crocodilians still have to worry about water getting through their nose. The end of the snout, where the nostrils are located, is surrounded by an area called the nasal disc. And the nasal disc contains muscles that act as another valve to control the opening of the nostrils. As they dive underwater, they can pinch shut and therefore protect the nasal cavity. Unlike crocodilians, all other reptiles lack a palate. That means in lizards, snakes, and turtles, their nasal passages open directly into their mouth. Alligator snappers make perfect examples for this. They often sit with their mouth open and use their tongue as a fishing lure to attract prey. And even though this guy has got his nose above the surface of the water, he still is unable to breathe while his mouth is open. This is because the opening for the turtle's airway is not in its throat, but actually on the floor of the mouth, When this turtle opens, you'll be able to see the glottis, as it's called, right behind the tongue. And the glottis is controlled by muscles and can be opened for taking a breath or closed when it is submerged. When we take a look at this turtle from this angle, you can see the opening of the nasal passage is on the roof of the mouth, and they happen to open right above the glottis. Now, underwater, a turtle can push the glottis up against those openings and breathe through its nose as long as the nose is above the surface. Comparing the differences of how the alligator and the alligator snapping turtle deal with life underwater is just one really good example of how evolution has led to two different adaptations that pretty much fit the same purpose. But as I said in the beginning today, there are many other air-breathing vertebrates that have to deal with life underwater. So go ahead and leave me in the comments some good examples that you can come up with. I'd love to read them. Well, that's it for now, though. Thanks for watching. Till next time, later, Gator.